Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draw odds are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. Remember, when you become a member of GoHunt.com/insider, you're going to get a $50 gift card to Go Hunt Gear Shop. What's in the gear shop? The best gear that you can buy for hunting the West. All in all, if you're hunting out West in 2018, GoHunt.com/insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com. Hey, folks, this is Bruce Hutchin, the host and executive producer of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading down to Georgia, and I'm really happy to have Michael Lee. And Michael was on the show, got to be almost 2 years ago. When first starting out, he was gracious enough to kind of listen to this guy, try to talk and try to put a podcast together. Well, quite a bit of water's going over the dam, so I wanted Michael to come on back and talk with us. So Michael Lee is with Backwoods, and he's going to talk about a whole different things today. First of all, we're going to talk about his 13-year-old TV show that he co-hosts with a good friend of his, and it's called Backwoods Life. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks for having me on.
Well, I want to see what the heck you're doing because 13 years at doing something and being on the Sportsman Channel and being right out there, putting a lot of content out in the marketplace. What changes have you seen in the last 13 years? I mean, it's got to be astronomical.
No, man, everything's just like it was in about 2004.
You're lying.
No, it's been crazy. When we started out in the industry, we literally could walk around the Archery Trade Association show and talk to everybody there and have a sit down conversation and all this good stuff. And now it's the whole industry itself is just blown up. The technology involved in everything is just gone crazy, and video itself has evolved to just astronomical levels, as well as social media has blown up, and just so many things out there that we use in our business now that 13, 14 years ago were just not even imaginable.
You know, we talked about patience, and if you're going to get in this business today, you got to be patient. Even though you have the best equipment, you can get your hands on everything you need to put good content out. It still takes time for it to all come together. And let's go back to 13 years ago. What was your vision? What was your goal for Backwoods Life?
Heck, when we first started, our goal was just to start turkey hunting in the spring and get some hunts on video and make some DVDs and just have fun with it, and sell those or give them away or whatever. It was all more about capturing our hunts on video than it was being on TV and growing to what we are today, which is is mind blowing.
What type of equipment did you have?
Oh gosh, like Sony high 8 video cameras that recorded these mini DV tapes and stuff like that. And now, I mean, what we would film hours and hours and hours and hours of tape is now on one SD card in our cameras, which is crazy.
Plus, they don't weigh. I don't know what those cameras, the Sony's weigh, but they were more than a pound and a half.
The ones we started with, they were kind of small, but now the cameras, they're still not little. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that use really small cameras to video on, and they work great. But we still stick with a little bit larger cameras that have more functionality for what we need nowadays, just to get top quality. I mean, we're videoing everything in 4K, and it's just crazy when you go back and watch it and how clear and just awesome. And especially with turkey season around the corner, to get the colors of the springtime. An old gobbler coming in with red, white, and blue head, just up there at 10 yards, all strutted up. Just it's really awesome to be able to put that stuff on film.
You think about that and what you're capturing, and then you put it all together and you put it on your show. And as everybody knows, if they watch the Pursuit Channel, Sportsman Channel, Outdoor Channel, all of a sudden you're sitting in that blind, and that gobble is coming in. I mean, and it's almost like you're just part of it. That's how good the content is now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great shows out there, and a lot of people doing a great job on video, both digital videos and broadcast, like on TV. But the quality that people are going after now is just so great. We've got guys that, and ourselves included, running 2 or 3 different cameras on a hunt where you're getting all these different angles, and got these birds coming in, decoys, and it's just turned into something that's really cool to me to watch and see how much effort goes into getting just phenomenal video. It's almost like a little bit of a contest to see who can one up the next guy with the quality of the hunt, which is great. But at the same time, I am the old school philosophy. I don't have to get award-winning footage to kill a turkey. So he comes in and he gets in the death circle. It doesn't matter to me about the rest. We're just gonna have a good time.
A couple of times I've watched some guys film, and the guy wouldn't shoot a buck because the cameraman couldn't get on the buck. I'm going, oh my goodness, I could never do that. I just couldn't do it. And I understand it, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a hard situation to be in. From our standpoint, the number one goal is to try to get top quality video to use, and especially when you hunt with an outfitter and stuff. I mean, if you don't get the hunt, don't get the shot on video, that's pretty tough. We've fortunately not been faced with that situation many times, but it has happened, and we did let some get away. But that's the choice we made. I mean, that's not saying that anybody would do that, but no regrets. Just you keep pushing forward, and it's going to happen sooner or later anyway.
One question I have: you said you're set up with 3 cameras. Now that's for turkeys, because I'm thinking, how the heck would you do that for whitetails?
When I say that, I mean it's more of the POV style cameras, like your GoPros and maybe a DSLR camera, stuff like that. We've got our bigger primary camera that's going to get the over-the-shoulder footage, and then we may have, some cameras like a GoPro or a Garmin that attached to our bow or on our gun. We may have it over on a tree limb on the side and stuff like that. So it's really about how much time we have and what the setup is like to be able to pull off those different angles.
So you're not saying you have a triple set, overlooking, a travel color?
No, not at all. I mean, we'll usually at most a lot of times it's just a hunter and a camera guy.
Thanks for clarifying that, because, like I said, my knowledge of what you guys do in the field is limited to the end product. Oh my goodness, look at that!
Yeah.
It's just, and it's amazing. And I think all the listeners are amazed. When you see some of the footage that these guys and gals are putting out today, it's part of, it's part of who we are, part of being a hunter, and part of the memory that we can relive. And I think that's why so many guys are just, little handheld camera and just they're documenting their own hunt, which I think is, really interesting. They'll never be on the Sportsman Channel or Pursuit Channel, but when they go home and they're sitting, watching it with their friends, they go, "Oh, look at that!" And if they miss, they miss. I mean, whatever happens. Is that how you started out? Just wanting to, make kind of home movies for your crew?
Well, sort of. I mean, I've always been one that I'm a semi-perfectionist and have a little bit of OCD inside me, and I always want to keep pushing for the best that we can produce. So, even when I started out, really before Kevin and I met and started the show, I had a little handheld camcorder and I videoed my deer hunts, but I was always critiquing that and trying to get better and doing stuff like that. So I guess I always had a vision of a little bit more than a home movie, but I never thought that we would be doing what we're doing now with, I mean, just the graphics and the editing and stuff. And that's what Kevin kind of does all that. That's his role as the producer, main producer of the show per se. He does a great job. His background's in that. That's what he went to school for. So uh, he's top notch.
I'm just thinking, there's 1,000 people listen to the show or more, maybe a few less. What are the three things you'd say? Hey, if you're getting into this game, if you're wanting to do it for yourselves, what would you recommend they do?
Don't. Just don't. Don't even try.
Don't. Come on now.
No, it's tough, man. It's one of those things where really there's no script, there's no footprint, there's no step by step process to do this. I mean, you really just got to find your niche. You got to dig in, and you just got to do your thing. I mean, there's a lot of great people out there on TV, and everybody's got a different story. Everybody's come up through a different path to get to where they are. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of money to get everything going. I mean, just equipment itself is very expensive. Editing is very expensive. Airtime is very expensive. And at the same time, you've got to be able to, contribute not just financially, but your time yourself. I mean, people think you just got a camera guy that you go sit in a tree with, and you just all you do is go hunting all the time. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, you've got to get in touch with these companies. You got to have something of value to bring to the table to them just to get their attention. You can't just show up and be like, "Oh man, I've killed a bunch of big deer. Why don't you come help me pay for my bills for this, show to start?" It just doesn't work that way.
You mentioned ATA earlier, and I've been there a couple different times, and it's amazing how many people say, "Hey, this is what I got. This is what I can do. This is how I think I can help you." And how many of those people don't get a sit down, and they get good quality stuff or gear or content?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, there's so many outlets nowadays. Not just we've got lots of podcasts, just like what we're doing here. You've got lots of television outlets. You've got Instagram outlets. You've got YouTube outlets. You've got Facebook, brands. You've got so many different mediums out there. And you still have old school, print ads, and you've got just a conglomerate of things out there for companies to utilize to reach an audience to promote their products and let everybody kind of know about their brand. And it's really hard to fine tune that from an advertising standpoint to what works the best. I mean, you've got to kind of go out there and try different things, but it's a supply and demand. That's number one, and then it's relationships over that. So just because company's got a hole to fill over here, it doesn't mean you can just walk up and get a meeting and sit down with them and everything's done. I mean, you've really got people do their homework. If they know another company that may know who you are, they're going to call and background check on you a little bit. Hey, do they do a good job? Do they do what they say they're going to do? What's the value there? So it's a big industry, but it's very close and tight knit. And it's just you really got to get in there, roll your sleeves up, and do a bunch of hard work.
Last 13 years, in the filming side, what's been the biggest challenge for you?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of challenges you run into, but they're really consistent as far as just concealment, while you're hunting for you and a camera person, um, keeping that quality up at a certain level, not just with equipment, but as far as getting the footage itself. That's always challenging. I mean, deer come in the wrong way and the turkeys don't cooperate. And I mean, there's just more things go wrong than right when you add, videoing your hunt into the mix. I mean, I don't know how many occasions that we've had where, you're covering up twice as much scent, or your cameraman moves and, a deer heard the stand creak or something like that. I mean, nothing intentional, not that guy's fault, but, things happen. So whenever it's hard enough to do some of these things by yourself while you're hunting, much less when you've got another person and you're trying to get it on video. So, I would say just the execution part has been the most consistently challenging part of what we do.
Given all that and the challenge of filming and still hunting whitetails, I have a hard enough time, hunting whitetails just by my lonesome. Like, I don't know how you guys do it really, because now you got two guys in the stand, and especially all day sits. I don't know how you guys keep quiet. So there's my question: how do you, during the route, all day sits? How do you do it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't sit all day a whole lot. I mean, I have on occasion. I'll at least come out and take an hour or two break. I mean, just mentally or whatever. But um, I'm not afraid to sit there and have a conversation while I'm sitting in the stand either. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that sits there and perfectly still and don't move for hours and doesn't talk to my camera guy. I mean, I'm there to have fun. And if I'm not able to do what I do on a normal basis to have fun and, sit there and shoot the breeze and cut up a little bit, then I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's what I've done for this long. I'm not going to change now. So, I mean, I'm not also not the guy that's going to sit out there and, have to shoot a 170-inch deer every time I go hunting either. So, I guess there's guys out there that are hardcore and want to sit all day and hold out for a 170 or 180 or nothing, then hey, good for them. I'm not knocking that at all. That's just not my thing. I'm going to go out there and have fun, and buck comes by that cranks my tractor, I'm going to shoot him.
I like that attitude because I shoot deer that I like. Pure and simple. That's what I do.
Yeah. Hunting
if I like that deer, go ahead.
I was gonna say hunting was founded not for antler size, but for meat. And that's the whole root of hunting, right? So, yeah, if you want to shoot a 4-point or a 10-point, I mean that's your prerogative, as long as it's legal in your state.
Because that's one thing I think we get wound up on social media. And yeah, if I down or if I put a big buck down, yeah, I'll put it out there, and it's a little of this. Hey, look at me, look at me, and look at me. But I've also put those down there and small deer that everybody goes, "What'd you shoot him for?" Because I want to eat them.
Yeah, I answer because I wanted to. As simple as that. I think that's one of the biggest problems with social media is everybody wants to jump on the I'm a better hunter than you, and why did you shoot this and why did you shoot that? Who cares? I mean, let people go out there and do their thing. You do your thing. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's better than anybody at this. It's a personal goal. That's why I'm not a big fan of big buck contests and turkey contests. I mean, not that I'm knocking them not that much, but to me, hunting's not a competition. I only have to prove. Only thing I have to prove is to myself. I don't have to prove anything to anybody else.
And listeners, take some of this to heart that Michael's sharing, because when I first started, I mean, she was one of my first 5 people on Whitetail Roundup podcast. Her name was Brenda Valentine. He said, "Bruce, always remember this. It's your hunt. If you want to shoot that deer, again, the legality and all that, throw that in there. Shoot the deer, and don't worry about whatever anybody ever says." And I think today, if you look at social media, look at all these, publications, that isn't so much the case. And that I'm sad for that, because you're kind of taken away from the kids because every single kid isn't going to dump a 10-pointer the first time in the woods. Sure as heck's going to probably shoot a doe, maybe a fork horn, maybe a spike. Doesn't matter. That's a trophy to them. Your thoughts?
That's exactly right. I totally agree, and not just kids. I mean, just so maybe some of my buddies that have never hunted before, never shot a deer, never shot a turkey. Who cares? If they want to shoot the first thing that comes out, they're hunting with me on my farm. Hey, if you're happy with that animal that comes out, go for it. If you're going to be proud of it, that's all that matters. Don't shoot something that you're not going to be proud of. That's what my dad always told me. So, um, even my dad, sometimes he'll shoot bucks that I may have not shot at our farm, but I don't fuss at him about it. I'm just like, well, hey, did you get excited? He said, absolutely. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to shoot. So I'm like, hey, I'm happy. Life's too short to worry about what you're shooting, what your neighbor's shooting, or whatever. If everybody's on the same page, yeah, everybody's got their kind of rules together, what they're going to do and not do, and that kind of stuff. I get it, but when it boils down to it, if you're out there and you're having fun, who cares?
Yeah, it is, listeners. It is about having fun. We spend a gazillion dollars. You don't want to add up your truck and your bow and your broadheads and your camo and on and on and on and on. You don't want to add that up. So, having said that, in this guy's opinion, we're doing it for fun. We're doing it because we're out there. We're doing it because it's an adventure. A whitetail hunt in a 40-acre, plot is an adventure because you just don't know what the heck you're going to see.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if you've only got a few acres to hunt, or even if you've got 50,000 acres to hunt, it doesn't matter. I mean, just go out there and have fun, do what you want to do, stay within the law, of course, and create those memories that you're going to have. I mean, I've kind of gotten where now I don't like to hunt by myself a whole lot. I've done it for so many years with somebody videoing or myself videoing somebody else and stuff like that. Now I feel like if you know not there's somebody to share it with, then the experience was just not as good. I mean, like I hunted in Texas last year, for example. A good buddy of mine went out there with me, and we were turkey hunting. And we filmed a few hunts and knocked a couple birds down on film. And then the last morning, we just got up and we just went and sat in the spot and hunted together. We both killed a turkey that last morning, had a good time, and he and I are the only ones with those memories. But that doesn't matter. It's all about that moment and us having that to share with each other from now on.
And that's pretty remarkable because staying on the social media, um, we're so darn competitive. And, times in my life, I had to do this because Jimmy Jones did that, and many different things, not just in work, but recreation also. And then I'll never forget this. I was in Iowa hunting, and I shot a nice deer, prettiest deer I ever killed. Until the last night at supper, I stood up. I said, I just want to thank you folks because it's about the joy of the hunt. It's pretty simple. Yeah, everybody, if you go to somebody's farm and have to pay, so everybody pays their money, but what kind of joy are you taking away from that hunt? And the joy for me just was with the guys, hunting someplace I'd never hunted before, shot a nice buck, left with some new friendships, food was good. So all those things added to the joy of the hunt. And I would challenge all our listeners to go find that. Just go find the joy of the hunt. And you might be tongue hanging out on a 13,000-foot mountain in Colorado, and you go, yeah, this is really joyful. But actually it is. Or you could be down, where Michael is, down in Georgia, in some of the places that are drop dead gorgeous down there, and you just sit and take it all in and understand, the opportunity you've been given. Michael, your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, to each their own, I guess is the best way to put that. And you can only hunt what you've got where you're at to hunt. If you're able to travel to different states and see different places, that's awesome. But at the same time, you're, a person that only able to hunt your family farm or lease property or permission to hunt property there close by or even public land. I mean, take advantage of what's there, enjoy it for what it is and have realistic goals because a lot of guys and girls, I guess, too, you will run across, they want to know what they can do to kill bigger deer and do this or that. And, I mean, you can only kill what's on the property. So, if your goal is to kill a 200-inch deer, then you've got to hunt somewhere there are 200-inch deer. You may not have them where you're at. So just go in with realistic goals. If the biggest deer you may see all season is a 120 class deer or whatever, then hey, go hunt that deer. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing and what they're shooting. Just go enjoy yours.
I like how you said that because we can sit on a marsh or river bottom or a hillside and a ridge, and if there isn't a 150-inch deer there, you can't kill him. No matter how hard you work, no how long your day sits are, you can't kill him because he's not there. And that's why being a 365-year hunter will let you know, okay, what's realistically on this land, and figure it out and set your hit list based on what reality is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, in outdoor TV, maybe a little bit to blame for that. Everybody wants to kill what we all shoot on TV and stuff like that. And I get it. I mean, I remember watching, television before when I was growing up. Heck, when I was a teenager, me and my dad sitting around watching, Realtree Outdoors and Mossy Oak Hunting the Country and stuff like that on the old TNN days. So I'm telling on my age a little bit, but at the same time, that was our, sense of reality for what is out there beyond where we were. And then that just kind of makes us have a little bit more drive to go and see those places as well.
Say, I'm looking on your website at www.backwoodslife.com. Backwoods Life stats, 13 years on the air, 195 original episodes aired, 756 and change social media followers. Total reach, and that figure just blows me away. 265 million and a few others. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, we like I said, we've been around for a while, and that our social following actually has gone up, and then we're over 750,000 now, which is awesome. And then our that audience reach, that's just in 2017. So we reach 200, 300 million people a year through all of our outlets. Being social media, television, digital distribution, things like that. And we just been out there. We've been out there working hard. We've been out there hustling, trying to find every little outlet that we could put our content out, or whatever we're distributing, so that we can reach people and maybe entertain people, make them laugh, see what's out there to hunt and what we've been up to. It's pretty cool to be able to reach that.
Yeah, it's astronomical that you touch that many people and they've had an opportunity to see your content, whatever that content is.
Yeah, I mean, that could be anything from just photos on social media all the way to actual full episodes on the network, stuff like that. So we've got different mediums of communication. So that's the beauty of what social media allows us to do, just reach so many different people. And I mean, some of that, people all over the world in some cases. So backwoods life itself and hunting in general, we've got a lot of people. Well, we get comments from all over the world sometimes that, hey, I'm down here in Australia and I watch you guys stuff online. I think it's awesome, and keep up the good work and stuff like that. That's what's pretty cool to me, is that you took something that we started out right here just in South Georgia, North Florida area, and now it's available to anybody on the internet all over the world.
And just think, none of the major distribution channels on TV are in play here. This is all, created by one, social media, digital. Yeah, you get the sportsman channel, but most of it comes from organic growth. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our audience is, we're pretty heavy on Facebook. That's kind of where we started, probably 4 or 6 years ago when, Facebook started getting the traction that it's got now as a good outlet, and, spread that over to Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and, all the outlets that are out there now that you can think of. We're pretty much active on all of them. And that's how we reach so many people. But honestly, that's how we need to capitalize for the future of our industry. The age demographics amongst all of these different social platforms are different. The Instagram audience is different than your Snapchat audience. It's different than your Facebook audience. So we need to be out there capitalizing on all of those, promoting the outdoors, promoting hunting and fishing, and just anything to really get people out of the house more, enjoying the outdoors to create our future. If we're not using these mediums to reach these age demographics, then we're not really doing justice for the tools that are out there to grow our industry.
Why don't you review the social media distribution channels you're on? I got Facebook, I got Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah.
Anything else?
There's LinkedIn, YouTube. Golly, we post stuff on Tumblr, Pinterest. Trying to think. There's so many different outlets out there that we just try to push all our different content out on.
Now, who does that for you? Do you have Jim in the office do it, Janie in the office do it, or you guys do it?
You're talking to the guy.
You ever sleep?
Well, eventually.
Eventually. Just with my podcast, when I post to, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and Google Plus, and then I do that, then I edit the show. I mean, I'm wondering what day it is.
Oh yeah, there's no rest for the weary in this world. I mean, if you're going to go out there and capitalize, you've got to be hustling all the time. Really pushing what you're doing. I'm a firm believer that some people look at social media as a look at me outlet, and it is. I mean, that's the whole point of social media was so you could post what you're doing, so people that want to follow you, your family, friends, whatever, can keep up with each other. That's what social media by definition is. And, it's grown to just astronomical proportions now. And, for what we do, and yourself included, we've got a brand, we've got a product, we've got a business, if you will. And the only person that's going to be out there promoting you harder than yourself does not exist. You are your own best promoter. So you can work with all these companies, and companies promote you and things like that, and that's much appreciated. But when it boils down to it, you've got to be out there hustling yourself to do it. Because if not, you can't expect people to gravitate to you unless they know who you are and what you're doing.
You got to own it. That's the thing I've been told a bunch of times is that, Bruce, if you want to make this thing go, just own it and go and do it. Don't cry. Don't get frustrated. Well, you're going to get frustrated, but, don't cry in your beer. Just figure out, okay, is it worth it to me? What are you trying to do? What's your mission? What's your goal? How are you going to move your personal flag forward? And then just do it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can't worry about what other people are going to think. That's number one. I mean, there's going to be people that are either jealous of what you're doing, or they're not going to like what you're doing, or they're just going to look at you as you're trying to be in self promotion. And to a point, that's true. But with that being said, you have to. If you're going to create a brand, you're going to build yourself up to have any kind of an audience, to be able to do what we do, to have a reach, to reach eyeballs for companies that you want to work with. You've got to go out there and get them. It's simple as that. Nobody's going to work with you in the outdoor industry if you've got 100 followers on Instagram and that's all you're bringing to the table. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to have masses now because eyeballs are so cheap to acquire through different, advertising mediums such as, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Twitter ads, even. But with that being said, got to go out there, build your audience, build your brand, build your demand. And then you're an influencer. Is really what it's called. You're an influencer.
So, folks, if you got a dream, everything you need technologically wise is here. If I can start this 3 years ago and not knowing what a podcast was, I know what a computer was, but that's about it. And today we're over 250,000 listeners, and if I can do that, and Michael Lee back 13 years ago decided we're gonna do it, I can guarantee you he did not know all the potholes that he was going to have to go through. I guarantee it. Technology breakdowns and snowstorms and flat tires and on and on and on. But here he is today, extremely successful and doing what he loves. So what the heck's wrong with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Go out there and do what you want to do. I mean, if you're sitting around and you always wanted to video your hunts, or you always wanted to have a podcast or something like that, well, just go do it. Go start somewhere and work hard, because why not? Why sit around and wish that you had taken, a couple of days to put some time into learning how to do something to build off of, to make yourself happier in life. I mean, even if it's not a career that ever develops, or you never make a dollar doing it, but if it opens some doors for you to go places or do things, or, acquire products or whatever the case may be for your feedback and stuff, why not, right?
Yeah. Hey, let's go hunting. Turkey hunting's right along the. Geez, I don't know. Some states we got to be less than a month away.
Actually, South Florida starts Saturday. Their youth season started last Saturday, and my first hunt is actually in Central Florida, and it starts March the 17th. So it's here.
So let's give down and dirty, Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, whatever, wherever you do your seminars for, tell the people, okay, you got to do this, and this, and if you do that, this will probably happen, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Keep it short and sweet. I mean,
yeah. Okay. Well, if you're going to go turkey hunting, number one rule is go somewhere there are turkeys and go hunting. So there's step one. But no, turkey hunting is not extremely complicated. I mean, your tools of the trade is a good patterning shotgun with maybe you want you a turkey vest or a turkey seat, and you need a turkey call. And if your state's legal, you use turkey decoys. I prefer to use the most realistic decoys as I can use right now. I'm using the Dave Smith decoys. I'm a big fan of their Jake decoy, and I've killed a lot of gobblers that come to that Jake decoy. I use a bunch of different calls. Use mouth call most of the time. That's what I've kind of developed and practiced over, golly, I've probably been turkey hunting for 20 years now, and developed whatever talent that I have with that. And some gobblers have come in to die because of that. And then just get set up, try to find them where they roost at or where they feed at, and get in between those two areas and be very patient. That is the best thing I can tell any turkey hunter, is if you do not have patience, you're probably not going to be super successful at turkey hunting.
anything else?
Don't overcall. That's another good tip. The bird's gobbling, especially if you're calling, kind of back off. He's got to come to you. You're reversing nature, basically, whenever you are trying to call a gobbler in, because by nature, the hen calls and goes to the gobbler. So you're trying to do backwards things. So he's got to come to you. My historical downfall has been being impatient when a turkey has gobbled at you. usually if you wait him out, he will show up at some point. That's a hard thing to do, especially if a different bird starts gobbling. But um, it's just a learning curve. I mean, you got to go out there and you got to make mistakes to learn how to get better at turkey hunting, just like deer hunting. But the good thing about turkeys is they move in the daytime, so you've got from daylight to dark to hunt them. They don't move much at all at night.
Well, they sit up in those roosting trees, right?
That's exactly right. They fly up right at dark and they'll sit there until the day starts to break the next day, and then they'll fly down. So not like a deer where, well, man, he's coming into my stand at night or he's coming in to feed at night. And you don't have to battle that with turkeys. You just got to be patient in the daytime.
Now, how far can, without a turkey choke, just a regular shotgun, how far can you kill a turkey?
Oh well, that's a loaded question, no pun intended. But because it doesn't take but one pellet really to kill a turkey. Just got to hit him in the right spot. But if I was going to go out there with an out of the box Remington 870 with just the choke set that comes in there, you might have a full choke. I mean, with a turkey load, I would say at most probably 30 yards, somewhere in that range. I really wouldn't stretch it too far, just because that's what turkey chokes are there for, to make tighter patterns, more effective distance, out to, 40, 50 yards. I mean, I know people that have killed them 60, 70 yards, stuff like that. But I think the average person shouldn't go out expecting to be able to pull it off that far without the right setup.
Now, talk to me about the turkey shot. Copper cladded?
Right now, tungsten is probably the best load to shoot, like your Longbeard XRs or your Federal TSS loads. Those are really good loads. They've got a lot of power. They've fine-tuned these things now, and we work with True Lock chokes. They're here out of South Georgia, and they make chokes specifically for those different kind of blends and those loads. So they've designed the choke to shoot the shell, and the shell's designed to actually use number sevens and smaller shots so they can have more shot in the shell and have longer range, killing power. So my goal this year, I've got a 20 gauge that I've kind of built and working on right now with the True Lock choke in there. I'm trying to work up a load that I can kill one at 50 yards with a 20 gauge and just be able to go hunt with that.
Now, you're talking 7-shot?
Yeah, I'm looking at the TSS, Federal TSS number 7s. They also make some number 9s that are really good pattern shells at longer ranges too. So I'm trying to work up the load right now, see what works best. The problem I'm having is finding Federal TSS loads right now because they're really hard to come by. But Longbeard XRs by Winchester is what I've shot for the last several years out of my 12 gauge setups, and they've done really well. I've shot birds, 50, 60 yards with them. But my biggest thing about turkey hunting is that the reason I go is I like to watch them, strut into the decoy and gobble and come in and put on a show. And usually I'd say my average shot's probably, 20, 30 yards. So that's where that patience comes into play.
And listeners, just about, size 7 shot, you get more BB's pellets, at a 7 than you get with 4s or 2s or 6s. And so the math is in your favor. Am I correct here, Michael?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with your normal lead shot, though, you're not going to be able to shoot, 40, 50 yards effectively and with a great pattern with number 7s. I mean, that's more of a bird shot with lead shot. And that what the tungsten does is a harder, more denser material that's more consistent. So it's going to be more round. It's going to fly better. And so you're going to get patterns better at those longer ranges. If you shot, say, with a factory choke out of the box, you shot bird shot number 7s or 8s at a turkey at 50 yards, you're probably not going to do nothing but just pepper the guy. Definitely not going to be a fatal shot. Turkeys, most of the time are pretty tough animals. Head shots, neck shots are what we take. You do not body shoot them because you're not going to kill them. They're going to go off and die later, probably from an infected wound. So those feathers are pretty tough. You got to go through there, and then their breast meat really thick. That's a big part to get into any kind of internal organ. So that's why the head shot's what we go for.
Well, thank you for that. And listeners, get any questions, reach out to Backwoods Life, backwoodslife.com, and they'll answer some of your questions, and heck, post post your turkey up on social media for them and say, hey, I got a couple of good tips from Whitetail Rendezvous. So let's roll up the show with talking about whitetail, and we've got about 10 minutes more, and let's talk about your first buck and your last buck.
My first buck ever?
Yep.
Well, that was a spike. I've actually got the antlers on a board my dad cut out and put on for me in my living room, sitting on a table behind the couch right now. So he's about a 10, 12-inch long spike. I was 13 years old, hunting in kind of south central Georgia, and with my grandfather actually. And he came out on a food plot. I made a shot. I was excited.
That was pretty it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it came out and I got him. I mean, that was pretty much my first buck. Been pretty good ways now. I guess that was 13, so it's that 27 years ago. So that's been a minute. A lot more have met their demise since then. I'm trying to think. My last buck, I shot one in Alabama, December the 28th, I think, was the last one I shot, and it was a real nice buck, a real big 10-point. Had a couple kickers off his G2s on both sides. Had a kicker off each side. Probably one of my bigger bucks, definitely out of Alabama, maybe of all time. I haven't scored him, but he's up there pretty good. Real proud of that deer. He disappeared. We didn't have him on trail camera for probably over 2 months from the time we had him early in the year before the season came in, and he actually made a mistake there in December following a group of does out across this little pasture, and gave me a good shot.
How'd you know he was there?
Well, I actually saw him the day before when I was coming out from hunting that morning. He was standing on this pine hill, and he was just standing there looking at me. And I honestly, I could have shot him, just off of the cart there. And we weren't on the public road or anything like that. We were in the property, and I could have shot him that way, but I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to get it on video and try to get good quality video. And so I went and tried to set up where I thought he was going that afternoon. Didn't see him, saw a few other deer. And the next morning I went and I sat in a stand for probably an hour right at daylight where I thought he may come that way because there was a field not too far from where I saw him, and I didn't see him. So I was actually coming back out, kind of easing around, hit this side of this pasture and saw a different, smaller buck, and looked across the pasture, and heck, he was on the other side with a doe, pushing him around that morning. And then we kind of snuck around, got set up. He pops out down this little bottom. I had actually shot on him in the woods, but the only shot I had was, right below his jaw in the neck, and just I didn't really feel comfortable doing that, and didn't want to. I mean, I had to shoot not through some trees, but thread the needle through a little narrow slot. And, I just didn't want to take a chance on a deer like that to make a bad shot. So I just let him kind of walk back down the ridge and disappeared. And luckily, he came out in the pasture, and I was able to drop him out there.
So you're hunting private land. You saw a buck the day before. He's going to be around. How did you figure he just wasn't moseying off the property?
Well, that deer earlier in the year was in that same area. And so I've kind of always had the philosophy that deer go back to what they do early season, late season, back to the same areas, just historically around here from what I've seen. If you've got a buck pattern early and he disappears, most of the time later in the year, he comes back to that area. If he doesn't get killed or you don't see him, during the rut or the peak of the rut per se. And this was more later in the season. But it was kind of I guess the secondary rut in that area where the yearlings are coming in and stuff. But he had disappeared, and I just knew he was going to hang around kind of where he was at. That's just where he stayed. So I was like, all right, he's back home now, so he's going to be around this little stretch of woods through here in this area. And I mean, there's no doubt I just got extremely lucky. There's nothing more to say than that. It's not like I knew I was going to kill him or anything like that. I just got very lucky that he was at the same place 2 days in a row, and the only thing I could figure is he was behind those does that were in that area because we do have a lot of does that kind of stay in the same area all year long around here.
And folks, the yearling does, they will come in the heat, but after the rut. And that's why, secondary rut, call it what you want, is actually a pretty good time to hunt because the bucks that haven't been chased off or killed or maimed or whatever, they'll be back around, the neighborhood. Right, Michael?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've seen deer, around Christmas and stuff in that time frame. A doe come by with 4 or 5 bucks behind her, just because it's that last few does that haven't been bred or those youngs that come in for the first time. They're getting pushed hard, and the competition's high then. So it's actually a good time to hunt. The only bad thing is so much hunting pressure has gone on beforehand that time of the year, they may be just a little bit more spooky as far as the does and stuff like that being around. So it makes it harder, less cover, colder temperatures, which I like the colder temperatures, but it just depends. There's a lot of variables that come into play later you get in the season.
Folks, Michael's gone through a lot of information. We touched a lot of things, but with whitetail hunting, think about and you just pin the word. It's variables. I don't care if you're hunting early season, pre-rut, rut, post-rut, secondary rut, whatever. There's all these variables that you have to make work for you. Your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, deer hunting is nothing but variables, and turkey hunting too. I mean, hunting in general is just variables that you have to learn to adapt with, throughout the whole season or through the whole hunt. Early season's different than rut. Rut's different than late season. So it's kind of a learning process, and it's more about learning the area that you hunt and what they do different times of the year. So if you've got a good home territory where the deer stay and they bed, you've got a really good spot to hunt because early season they're going to stay close to that area and go back and forth as little as possible to food sources to conserve energy for the coming rut. And then after the rut, they're going to get back. They're going to go lay up, stay in those bedding areas, and go to close food sources as they can to stock back up per se. So, but it's all about learning your property. It's learning what they do and what time of the year they do it, and then just fine tuning your hunting skills as far as calling, stand placement, and things like that. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just getting out there, getting a weapon, and going hunting. But that's exactly where you start.
Well, Michael, we've been chatting for a while here, and so on behalf of thousands of listeners across North America of Whitetail Rendezvous, you just been so much fun to chit chat and have a little conversation. So, Michael Lee, thank you so much. Backwoods Life.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate your time, buddy. It's always a pleasure to catch up. I know it's been a while, but I really do appreciate your time as well, and hope everybody out there got something out of this madness anyway.
Hey, folks, I'm pleased to bring Aaron Towns to an episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Why am I so pleased? Well, Aaron's one of these guys that said, something isn't right, and it's going out and fixing it. He started a group called Mission Outside. His whole mission is to get kids outside through camps. They're having their first camp coming up this summer, and I said, Aaron, I'd sure put my oar in the water and give a shout out to you, and we're going to talk about whitetails, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things that Aaron holds dear. And that is a pun because he does hold dear. and we're going to talk about some lessons learned. So all in all, it's going to be a great show from a Southerner, Aaron Towns.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.